Hey guys, Matt here with BuiltRight Industries. Today I'm going to show you how to install our bedside rack system for the 2015 and newer F-150 and as well as the 2017 and newer F-250 and F-350. Here you can see I've already installed the driver's side, front and rear panel. I've got the passenger side stuff in this box ready to go. The tools you're going to need are a T30 of some sort. I prefer to use a socket with a ratchet. I'm also going to cheat a little bit and use a cordless impact to make it go faster. It's also helpful to have a rag, microfiber, something like that. And if you have quick detail or a glass cleaner, anything really works just to wipe down the side of the bed before we bolt anything to it. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and roll back the tonneau cover and we'll get started. Alright, so I've unboxed them myself just to save time, but these are going to arrive very nicely packaged for you. What you've got here is the smaller panel. Now this is going to fit towards the front of the bed on both sides, so you'll have two of these, and then the larger panels, and these are side specific. You're not going to screw them up because they only go on one way. What we're looking at here is the passenger side. The way you can tell that is that it doesn't have a cutout here for the button that you would use to turn on your bedside lights. Now the other thing you're going to notice came with your kit is a pair of these rubber bumpers and hardware. These serve a couple of purposes. One is that this panel can deform a little bit during the forming process, which might leave you with a little bit of interference here with your bedside. The other is for really heavy loads. They can deform the panel just slightly, and this is going to allow the panel to rest itself against your bedside and provide some really nice rigidity. So we're going to go ahead and install this first before moving on. So this is going to install using this screw through the center of the bumper there, and then you're going to pass this through just like that somewhere in here, and we'll tighten this nut on. Now before I snug that up, I want to mention something about placement. You're not going to be able to fit it right here because that's going to be really close to where there's a little 3D feature in the bedside. So you're going to want to have it somewhere like in here. Your other options are actually anywhere along the bottom, depending on how you want to configure your attachments. So go ahead and fit it up now, and you can kind of hold it into place and see how you like it before you tighten everything else down. So in order to tighten this down, we'll use a 7/16 wrench to hold this, and then a Phillips head on the opposite side. So now we've got our parts, we've got our tools. The next thing we're going to do is remove the OEM box link cleats there, front and rear, and that's a series of 4 T30 Torx fasteners. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Now we've got our OEM box link cleat off. A lot of dirt and grime, whatever, road debris. So the next thing we're going to do is wipe this surface down. That's for two reasons. The first reason is that it's difficult to clean back here once you have the panels on. The second, more important reason is we don't want grime, dust, dirt between the painted finish of the bedside and our racks. It'll get caught in there and could prevent you from getting the clamping force you need to really lock down those racks. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Now we'll go ahead and repeat that process on the 4 T30 Torx fasteners towards the front of the bed. So it'll mount via these 4 points here. The last 2 points are down here where the OEM tie-down point is. So we'll go ahead and remove that now. Okay, so now we've got our box link plate along with the 4 fasteners used there, and our tie-down cleat along with the 2 fasteners used there set aside. Don't move them too far. We're going to go ahead and reuse all of it as we install the BuiltRight bedside rack. So now we've got our plate in place. What we'll do is we'll first put our screws into this end, and then the tie-down point over here. We're going to do it all loosely at first, and then we'll snug them all down. Make note of the fact that this plate goes with this keyhole. The larger part of that is oriented towards the bottom. So we'll be careful with that as we reinstall it, and we'll go ahead and do that. Go ahead and get the plate in place with one screw there. It all kind of holds itself together with that screw. And then we will lift it into place. I like to put my socket on an extension and just use it by hand to get the screws started. It's really tight fit with all your fingers in there if you're trying to. So now we've got it hanging. We'll get our other 3 started here. Now we'll go ahead and reinstall our tie-down point. It's only going to fit one way again. We'll do the same procedure here. Start one screw, start with the top. Maneuver the bed rack into place. And get that started. Same thing with the second one here. Those holes are oversized, so you should have plenty of room to get those screws in. If you're having any resistance at all, just make sure you're not cross-threading it. But again, you'll meet some resistance. These threads are sort of tight from the factory. Now we'll go ahead and snug this down, knowing that our other 4 are already in place. Now really quickly a note about the clamps that might be holding your tonneau cover or your topper on here. As you can see, mine is not in the way here. Depending on where you place these when you installed your accessory, if it's over here, there might be some interference. Just go ahead and move it. There should be some space here. If it happens to be really tight, depending on whether or not you've got larger clamps or some other difference here, and the same goes for the back, one thing that you can do is flip the clamps around. The clamp is deeper towards the inside of the bed than the outside, so if you flip the clamp around, this will actually seat behind the clamp altogether. So do that before you install the panels. If you do it after the panels, sometimes if you flip it around, it's hard to get a wrench back there. So that's my word of advice regarding the bedside clamps that you may or may not have. Okay, and finally we'll go ahead and snug up these 4 fasteners. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and install our rear rack here. Now, the rear rack is a little bit asymmetrical, so you've got 2 columns over here and 1 over here. The reason for that is that this feature in the bed sticks out pretty far. So we're going to have it with the 2 columns facing towards the rear of the vehicle. Now, I can already tell I'm going to run into the issue that I mentioned earlier with this clamp. I know I've got space over here to move it, and I can flip it around if I need the clearance, which I might just do right away anyhow. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll install this. Alright, so we've got our clamp move out of the way. I've got my T30 in extension. I'm going to go ahead and install this without stopping because you watched me do it on the rearmost panel, so you probably have already finished. And with that, you are fully installed. So you'll want to go ahead and repeat this process on the other side of the vehicle. Of course, it's just the same, it's mirrored. At this point, you can come up with the clamp configuration for your tools or what have you that you are planning on storing on the rack, and experiment with that. Of course, if you have any questions or concerns or feedback about the installation or the product, feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. Thanks for watching.